Hey guys, it's Jen Conley with Hometown Lender, and I have Mr. Phil Adkins of Adkins Appraisal Service today. And we're going to talk about conventional and FHA appraisals. And I think that in the market that we're in now, a lot of agents tell their sellers and their buyers, hey, you got to do conventional. Nobody's going to take an offer because FHA's got repairs, conventional doesn't. So there's another misconception about appraisals is that there's no really guideline on conventional, and that's not accurate. And I feel like sometimes, we do a lot of government loans, so I feel like a lot of our buyers are getting left out when they're good, solid buyers, and sometimes better buyers. That's a whole another video series, but sometimes they're a better buyer than that conventional buyer. Stronger credit, more income, but maybe, for whatever reason, they can't have someone on the loan with them, so they have to go FHA. And so I think that they get left behind when in reality, that's not true about the appraisal part of it at all.
As appraisers, when we're appraising a house, we are obligated if we see any, health hazard, anything potentially dangerous to someone, that we include that in our report. And obviously, when we finish our report, we submit it to underwriters, and then underwriters obviously read reports, and if there's something that's, could be a danger on the property, then they will, require that to be repaired or replaced, depending on what's needed. And so it's not the Wild Wild West. If it's a conventional loan, doesn't matter what issue there is, it's going to go through because we are obligated to we're kind of the eyes and the ears for the lender, and ultimately for the secondary market that purchases that loan, that there's not a safety or a health hazard, with a particular property.
And there's not, with FHA, there are there's a few, they're just a few specific things that have to be looked at. For conventional, there's not really that list, but you still, obviously with your experience, know hanging electrical wires or holes in floors or missing windows, roof, got a hole in it, that's a problem. And you're going to cite that in the report, and it's going to have to be repaired before you can close. It doesn't matter that it's conventional.
And in a refinance, obviously, it's just the homeowner, and they don't really have someone to guide them. But when it's a sale, if somebody has their house listed with the realtor, if the realtor is experienced and educated, they should point these items out basically when they list the property. And things such as there have to be handrails down the basement steps or up to second floors.
Even conventional.
Yes, because that is a potential safety hazard. Now, whether an underwriter will require that, it probably depends on what desk it ends up on. FHA, if a house is built before 1976, if there's flaking or peeling paint, that has to be scraped and painted. So hopefully your listing realtor, the realtor representing you, will see any of these items at the time they list the property and are able to clue you in that these are probably things that you're going to have to fix or repair, so you'll be aware of in advance. And additionally, a hot water tank, there has to be a pressure release valve drain. Typically it's PVC drain. Just nothing that's, ultra major, but it's things that FHA, requires that have to be done before the loan's made.
And, I think we talked to a lot of people and say, listen, you would want it to be right for you. And so as a seller, if a seller is watching this, I would say, you are going to have to go somewhere, and you would want that seller to make sure that house was had health and safety guidelines for you. Whether you're paying cash or not, you want a safe home. And so that's the biggest thing. We don't want it to create an issue for these folks down the road. We don't want to put anyone in a bad home that is going to have a potential issue. But conventional, a long time ago, there weren't a lot of guidelines.
No, if somebody was getting a conventional loan, pretty much the main and only interest was, did the house appraise for high enough to be able to get the mortgage to buy the house. That was about it.
Yeah, and so, on the lending side, we have something called collateral underwriting. So we take Phil's appraisal and we get something called, there's different reports that we get with the appraisal from the AMC, and we run it through that system, and it gives it a rating. And it's based on, it takes the information from that report, but a lot of it is online data that the secondary market has accumulated over the years. And so in our area, there's not a lot of that.
Right.
And so that then gives it a score, and then it can be required that there would be a field review. And that's only on conventional. So while you maybe your report comes back and feels like it's great, there's nothing wrong, but when it runs through CU, and it's a system every lender uses, it says, oh, it's a 5, you've got to have a field review. So that's another expense, it's a delay, where with FHA, USDA, VA, you don't have any of that. The appraisal, what Phil says is what goes, and that's it. There's nothing else to be done after that.
Right.
So that's something I think too that people don't realize, that agents may not even know, is that there's that secondary look that's in our area almost always going to require a field review that the government loans don't have.
Right.
So really, would you have to scrape some paint? Maybe, but on this secondary report, it's a separate appraisal. It's not Phil doing it. So it's another appraiser looking at it and saying if Phil's right or not. He or she may say no. And then what? You don't have that with government loans.
Right.
So you really have to look at the strength of the whole package, not just, oh, it's conventional or oh, it's government. So let's go conventional because we won't have to fix anything.
Right.
Because that's just not the truth.
Not anymore.
No. So, well, thank you for stopping in. This is a really important one for people to know, and I appreciate you taking time today. So if you have any questions, give us a call at 740-851-4760. You can apply online at 851-4760.com, or you can always stop in the office at 109 West Main Street and see us to get started today.